My brothers and sisters, I want to share with you a reminder of what it means to be a Christian here at the end of the world. But first, I want to address something. A few people have commented to me, even a close friend and mentor, that my videos have become very dark and have even expressed concern that I may be going down a dark path with the subject matter of my latest videos. As I have stated before, I will never apologize for a message the Lord gives me to bear. But I do listen and read every comment and answer every sincere question. Though only a few have made this statement, and by a few, I mean only two people that I can really recall, I want to address this concern as others could be thinking the same thing. What really concerns me about those statements is that people are expressing a desire to have smooth things preached unto them. It's as if some type of a blinder was placed over their eyes and they refuse to see anything that would suggest that there will be troublesome times in the future. One of my earlier videos that received some criticism as to its content was a video titled Seventh-day Adventist Children During the Crisis. God directed me to make that video almost 3 years ago, and I see the importance of it now more so than when it was first made. Some thought that that video was disturbing, but what we are about to witness in the near future will make that video seem like a Sesame Street episode. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, I actually hold back a lot of content and images because I know the pseudo piety and sensitivity many of my people profess to have. I am committed to sharing you the truth as God reveals it to me, without watering it down. If, after watching these videos, someone is left unprepared for the coming crisis because of my neglection to present the pure, unadulterated truth because of a fear to offend people, then I have failed that person in my calling. But don't worry, my brothers and sisters, not on my watch. If telling you the truth is considered darkness, then I am about to push you into the abyss. Before I begin, I want to tell you something, but I really want you to hear me and listen to my words and pay attention. Revelation 13:3 says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast." My brothers and sisters, it says that all the world wandered after the beast. I know that we have read that verse many times, but let's take a closer look at the word wander, or its past tense form, wandered. It means to desire or to be curious to know something. My brothers and sisters, the phrase wandering after the beast is not a synonym for worshiping the beast, as we have traditionally viewed it. What do I mean? Revelation 13:3 says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast." And verse 4 says, "And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" My brothers and sisters, wandering after the beast and worshiping the beast are two different actions, two different words with two different meanings. However, wandering after the beast leads to worshiping the beast. And my brothers and sisters, many present truth Seventh-day Adventists are wandering after the beast. There is sensationalism right now going on about the Pope, his comings and goings, and meetings. Somehow, the work of preparation has been equated to monitoring the activities of the Pope. and Satan knows it. My brothers and sisters, listen to me. When we take our eyes off of the work of character building, off of sharing the truth to the world, off of going out and witnessing to actual people, but faithfully watching on our screens so-called Sunday law updates and daily news reports of the Pope and his agenda, then we are wandering after the beast. My brothers and sisters, Seventh-day Adventists are not the only organization watching the movements of the Pope. There are atheists, Jews, and first-day worshiping Christians who are all aware that the Pope's climate agenda means changes to the world. Investors in green products and green technologies are also watching the Pope. Almost the entirety of present truth Adventists are caught up wandering after the beast like every other organization in the world. My brothers and sisters, understand me. There is nothing wrong with being aware of the movements of the Pope. But if we spend more time watching and hearing about the Pope than passing out literature, materials, and holding real conversations with non believers or new Christians about Christ and the coming crisis, then we are wandering after the beast. Satan knows that, and he purposefully keeps certain meetings and plans in the headlines as bait to keep Adventists distracted from real preparation. And my brothers and sisters, country living is not preparation work. Follow the logic. Our country homes are not secluded compounds to wait out the crisis. Our labors have to be more than building up a country fortress. We have months or a year in some months that the country home will be of benefit, and more time will be spent working the cities than strolling around gardens. We are at war, and the cities will be the battleground. Your country home is to bring in the spiritually wounded and refugees, and to get a peaceful night's sleep before going back out and gathering more people. Our labors don't cease until after the general close of probation and we are forced to flee our country homes and go into the rocks and mountains. If we think that we are going to be tucked away in our country homes, watching the news and the Pope from our living rooms while the cities burn, then we are sadly mistaken. And when the crisis meets us at the door of our country home, we will not have the spirit and presence of God necessary to surrender life and or liberty. Preparation for the crisis only comes by working during this little crisis. If we have not been laboring during the lockdowns and restrictions, we will not gain the experience and confidence to labor during open persecution, imprisonments, and martyrdom. That's the real preparation. And Satan has deceived Adventists into thinking that watching and waiting for the Pope's meetings are the key to spiritual preparation. In the fall of 2019, the Pope made an announcement that just about all present truth in Adventist ministries were following after, thinking that that event would bring about a Sunday law.
Vatican News YouTube channel recently posted a video of Pope Francis inviting world leaders to Rome to sign a global pact on May 14, 2020. The Pope's invitation has implications that relate to end-time Bible prophecy, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video.
I don't know if you're aware of what the Pope did on Thursday, September 12, but he had a special video where he is now setting up a date to establish a global pact with the leaders of the world to re-educate the young people of the world. This was also presented by the Vatican in written form, as well as the Pope himself reading it on a video. And the date is May 14, 2020, and he's calling for the leaders of the world to come. Well, let's just play this video. You'll have it here on your screen.
Carissimi, nell'enciclica Laudato Si.
Oh, got to stop it already. First thing he does when he presents this video is he references his encyclical that was Laudato Si from 2015. And this was the Pope's encyclical on the environment. And in this, please don't miss, he starts this whole video by referencing his famous encyclical on the environment.
In the fall of 2019, while we were all looking forward to May 14th, 2020, we didn't see or prepare for the lockdowns that came in March of 2020.
Breaking news tonight, the coronavirus forcing millions more Americans into virtual lockdown. Over 75 million people in New York, California, Illinois, and Connecticut ordered to stay at home. The U.S. borders to Mexico and Canada set to close to non-essential travel. A spring break crackdown. Florida communities closing beaches. In Europe, the crisis growing inside the ICU in Italy, the country's deadliest day. Fear on the front lines. ER doctors saying we are on the verge of a medical disaster. Healthcare workers' lives at risk.
There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of, wondering if you're risking your life by going to work.
Critical shortages of life-saving equipment. President Trump invoking war powers to order private companies to manufacture supplies. New developments on that $1 trillion relief plan. How soon Congress could approve those checks for you. The staggering rise in unemployment. People out of work lining up for free meals. The healthcare crush. Vital treatments delayed. Our correspondent battling cancer, feeling the impact firsthand. The surge in students learning from home. Over 50 million taking lessons online. But what about the kids without internet access? And does the coronavirus present a bigger risk to pregnant women?
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. It was just a little over 10 days ago we were all shaking our heads at news that Italy was locking down the entire country to stop the spread of COVID-19. Awful, we thought, but it couldn't happen here. Except it slowly is. State by state, residents now being ordered to stay indoors. Non-essential businesses told to close. The latest, Connecticut, as the wave of sickness appears to be following the grim predictions. Again, tonight, our team is going to explore the facts, the ramifications, and what our leaders are doing to protect us. We start with Miguel Almaguer.
All but a few of our churches were shut down in the lockdowns, and the physical spreading of the gospel almost came to a grinding halt. Even now, some of the churches are still not open, and it's been over a year. Satan purposefully threw out a red herring distraction, and while we were chasing that event, he made a surprise attack with the lockdowns. Now, in almost the same fashion, another event has been set before us, and we are eagerly following this event, not realizing that we are on the brink of an economic collapse and social conditions that would make the past lockdowns look like picnic time. My brothers and sisters, this ministry is not about making you comfortable and entertaining you till Jesus comes. I am here to give messages of warning and to enlighten and prepare you for the truths and issues to come. I want you to take a trip with me. Let's go on a what if journey. What if we were further along in these last day events than we even realized? What if this past March 10th, there was Sunday legislation pushed into law here in the United States? What if, just as Sister White said, the Sunday law made its way through darkness? What if we were really getting ready to witness a universal Sunday law instead of a national Sunday law? What if Satan has succeeded to keep us so unawares that we are stuck waiting for something that has already happened? What if a universal Sunday law is passed this fall, followed by a world economic collapse and widespread chaos? What if the lockdowns we've seen this past year and a half were only a representation of our actions and compliance when persecution begins regarding Sunday observance? The point I'm trying to make, my brothers and sisters, is that we cannot trust what is presented on the surface with news media and other reports as to where we are prophetically. We know what's coming. We don't have to huddle together comparing Sunday law notes on what's happening and saying, I told you so. Now is the time to find out what the Lord has called you to do in this great controversy. Everyone has a job and area of work. Everyone should be actively engaging in sharing the gospel and winning souls. If your neighbors and surrounding communities have not heard or received any information or materials from you about the coming crisis and how to prepare for it spiritually and physically, then you are not doing your job. If your outreach and sharing of the truth consists of sending Sunday law updates from SDA ministers to other Seventh day Adventists, then you are not doing your job. My brothers and sisters, as long as we are Zooming with each other, we are not reaching the people. The world is about to have a rude awakening when the internet and power goes out. What will we do then? Where will you go? If we are not spiritually connected now and have not received marching orders to what we should have been doing during the lockdowns, then we are not going to receive them during the crisis. My brothers and sisters, don't be like the wicked servant who went and hid his talent in the earth. Take your retirement and your savings and invest it in furthering the truth before it is swallowed up in the collapse. Buy stacks of the great controversy, Desire of Ages, National Sunday Law books, and more. Invest in DVDs and projectors and have viewing parties of the truth. Don't throw your money away in the conference. Support ministries like this one. Get these messages of truth to the world. My brothers and sisters, it is evil and wrong to know the truth and not share it with anyone. Once you make yourself available and begin to invest your money into the work, God will send people to you out of nowhere because you will be like an oasis in the desert. God is awakening people to the reality that something is very wicked and wrong in the world. And He is using these truths you have seen with this ministry to do it. I can't tell you the countless people I have met and have been able to share the gospel and third angel's message with because God led them to me because He awakened them to a knowledge of the true shape of the earth or the transgender deception. My brothers and sisters, God is using unconventional ways and methods than those we grew up thinking were going to be used to draw people out of Babylon. People are discovering the same truths revealed to you on this channel. And God is using that to call them out of Babylon and into the company of those laboring for Him to get the rest of the truth unto salvation. My brothers and sisters, the sad reality of the matter is that many of us who right now claim to be a part of the remnant will cease to stand with the people of God when persecution begins. The main purpose of this video is to tell you that we are about to go into the darkest period of this earth's history, and that if we are right now not engaged in doing physical work or supporting true ministries, we will not have a part to play with the people of God ending this controversy. My brothers and sisters, if we are not committed to working and sharing the gospel to the point of death, then it would be better for us to walk away now and try to enjoy some semblance of this life before the destruction and plagues come, and ultimately the second death. Don't come all the way to the end and find out that you were lacking, thinking that you were okay because you moved to the country and were paying tithe to the conference and watching Sunday law updates. Seriously think about whether or not you are prepared for what's to come.
Today we are celebrating the engagement of a young couple in our village. That is until this Christian returned. 4 days ago, he came into our village trying to convert us, telling everyone about his Jesus. We warned him not to come back, yet here he is.
करने वाली सच्चाई बताती है। हम वह हमें एक से परमेश्वर को बताते हैं। जिन सब
क्या हो रहा है? क्या हो रहा है?
हमने कहा था आप हमारे गांव में नहीं आएंगे, क्यों आ गए आप?
मैं समझ
ये बताता भाई यहाँ हिंदू का गांव है, हिंदू का प्रचार होता है, ये नहीं आएंगे।
अगर हम नहीं आते तो यीशु जी के बारे में कौन बताता?
और अगर आइंदा फिर आपको हमने देखा तो अच्छा नहीं होगा, हमसे पूरा कोई नहीं होगा। का गांव है, आप यहाँ कोई भी प्रचार नहीं करेंगे, नहीं करेंगे, नहीं करेंगे।
उसको खाइए ना। क्या हुआ, इसको खाइए ना।
कई बार मना किया हमने कि प्रभु यीशु का प्रचार हमारे गांव में ना करे, लेकिन वो मना करने के बाद भी नहीं माना और हमने उसको बहुत मार दिया। ये हमें नहीं मालूम हो रहा है कि वो जीवित है या कि मर चुका है।
तो आप जाइए, उसको देखिए, उठिए ना, उठिए जाइए। आप ऐसा काम क्यों किया है? हम लोग इनके साथ क्या करेंगे?
अगर इसका परमेश्वर सच्चा है तो इसकी मदद अवश्य करेगा और हम इसे जाने देंगे।
Suta did recover, and 4 days after leaving our village, he came back again. Now my wife and I follow Jesus, and Suta is our pastor. When you pray for the persecuted, please remember to also pray for those who persecute. For us, it may be the only way we will see the love of God.
My brothers and sisters, the Sunday law is here. It's been here for months now. Satan has succeeded in getting the people of God distracted enough to miss it. Now, while the vast majority of Adventists are still waiting for a Sunday law, Satan is setting up his next move, which will be the enforcement of the Sunday law. But the enforcement is going to come in the midst of civil unrest during the crisis. Pay attention, my brothers and sisters. This is very important. There are no spiritual gains or attainments in watching and waiting for proof of Sunday activity. We are at the end. That should be apparent to anyone who claims to be a Seventh-day Adventist. The problem is that many Adventists are using Sunday law updates as an alarm to set their spiritual and preparatory clocks by. Many are waiting for that as the sign to finally sell their house, or finally put away certain sins or forms of entertainment, or to simply use it as motivation to do the things that they have never really had an interest of doing. Now, my brothers and sisters, that's all by the intent of Satan. Satan doesn't care that you know and believe that Sunday is going to be an issue at the end of the world. He knows that the vast majority of Seventh-day Adventists won't be able to do anything about it. Here's the reality of the situation. There is a real pandemic that is coming to the world, and there will be dead bodies piling up in every city and in every town and in every country in the world. Those who have received the vaccinations will be the sick and dying ones. Simultaneously, the world will be in a free-falling economic collapse. There will be hunger, starvation, and the stench of rotting corpses everywhere. It is during this time that spiritual manifestations will begin happening, and the enforcement of Sunday as a day of rest will be brought to the forefront. Any Adventist who has received the vaccine will be among the sick and suffering, and when healing is offered by satanic agents disguised as gospel ministers, or when demonic spirits appear as the great spiritual leaders of the past with the power to heal the sick, then many Adventists, for the relief of the pain and sickness, will join hands with the world in accepting this delusion. Those Adventists who are so afraid of getting sick now that they wear masks in church and everywhere else will be too afraid to go outside of their doors to help anyone, and will waste away in their homes until they use up all their resources, and then voluntarily go to the camps and protection zones set up and accept all conditions and even Sunday observance for the sake of food, water, and safety. Those Adventists who only watched for the Sunday law will live in fear and not receive the Spirit of God necessary to face martyrdom or the crisis. They will give up at different stages along the way, just as many have slowly given in to the demands of the COVID lockdowns as they have progressed over the past few months. Many Adventists reluctantly gave in to the wearing of masks to buy and sell, and now many are reluctantly giving in to taking the vaccine, justifying it because they feel their need for traveling outweighs the greater issue. These also will be deceived at the end.
I don't believe this one's exactly biblical, but perhaps you could make it biblical.
I don't know.
Pastor Skeet,
Yes.
do you recommend taking the vaccine?
Oh. All right. Maybe I should pray again. Okay. The Seventh-day Adventist Church put out a statement last year telling members it's an individual decision you have to make. The church believes in following the health principles. The church also believes in following science that does not conflict with the Bible. So you have to decide whether you do your own research There's several vaccines, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, another thing. Which one? You do your research, which has a greater percentage of success. You do your research. You also listen to established scientists who have their own concerns. Don't just listen to those who make the vaccine. Listen to the other side so you get a balanced view. Then you claim Psalm 32 verse 8. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. You read Psalm 25 verse 4. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy paths. You ask God, place a conviction on me. Should I take this vaccine? If the Lord tells you to take it, you take it. Don't be too afraid. Remember Paul in Acts 28? He landed on an island and a venomous snake bit him. Are you with me? He shook it off. Why? Because he was about God's business. And so if you consider the vaccine venomous, you have a God who can take care of you. But seek his direction first. Are you with me? God keeps his promises. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I have to go to Fiji in July for 2 weeks. Now I have a choice. I can go with no vaccine and I enter 14 days of quarantine before I begin a 2-week revival. Or I can take a vaccine and go straight into the revival, so I'm still talking to God. Your choice with God's direction, and God does not fail to guide his people. He may tell you take it, he may tell him don't take it.
Adventists here at the end of the world are so stuck on certain catchphrases like no buying or selling that they don't realize that that also means no coming or going or traveling as well. So many feel like for the sake of traveling for their ministries, they must submit to the demands of the world. My brothers and sisters, here is where the real division is going to come into the church. Right now, there are Seventh-day Adventists who have gotten the vaccine and are suggesting and pushing it on the people in their churches and communities. Seventh-day Adventist universities and hospitals are making it a requirement.
Tonight at 10, Oakwood University is joining the statewide effort to get more Alabamians vaccinated. Oakwood University is one of multiple grant winners from across the state. The $250,000 grant is offered to boost vaccine numbers in minority groups. As a historically black college, Oakwood leaders hope to establish a vaccine clinic to have a positive impact on the vaccination effort, especially as minority groups are shown to be more hesitant to get the vaccine.
We're not seeing the increase that will offer the kind of general protection that we need. We want them to see that by us joining the community and the vaccination efforts, that they can trust the vaccine.
Oakwood University is just waiting on the green light from the state health department to begin giving those vaccines.
When the real pandemic begins, those who have not taken the vaccine will be blamed as to the cause of this new deadly virus that is actually going to claim the lives of millions. That's just a precursor to Sabbath keepers being blamed for the calamities and the plagues. Those Seventh-day Adventists who have been vaccinated will not suffer the persecution with those Adventists who have not been vaccinated. Because Adventists have been conditioned only to focus on the mark of the beast and not the name and number of the beast, Sunday is the only issue that is viewed as important. So many accept the name of the beast, which is the vaccine, without protest. Seventh-day Adventists will persecute other Adventists over the vaccine before it ever becomes about Sunday. And they will eventually give up the Sabbath when they are suffering the effects of the vaccine and accept healing by demonic forces. My brothers and sisters, the sickness that is about to come to the earth via the vaccines will be so terrible that any type of healing or anyone or any entity that is healing will be viewed as only the work of God. When Satanic agents and demons heal the people and tell them that the cause is a result from not honoring Sunday. The masses will seek to have laws forcing its observance. Anyone against that will be viewed as haters of humanity. The way we were to prepare for that was to protest the wearing of masks, then the escalation to the protest of the vaccines. Then we would be prepared for the protest of Sunday worship. That's the number, name, and mark of the beast. My brothers and sisters, are you hearing this truth? The name, number, and mark of the beast are to go out to all of the world, and Adventists were to be the ones leading the charge to fight against it. Masks and social distancing were the number of the beast. It went out to every country and nation of the world. Second, the name of the beast, which is the vaccine. Watch my video in the link to understand the name and number of the beast. It was banned on YouTube. The vaccine is the name of the beast, and it has gone throughout the entire world. Seventh-day Adventists were supposed to fight the name of the beast just as earnestly as we always thought we would fight the mark of the beast. But we have many pastors, ministers, and organizations that are pushing this on the people. And then finally, we will experience the mark of the beast, Sunday legislation and force, which will also, in like manner as the number and name of the beast, go out into all the world, and only a handful of people will protest against it. My brothers and sisters, it has been the sheep, not of this fold, who have been protesting the number and name of the beast. While Adventists are watching Sunday law updates, the sheep not of this fold have been engaging in the conflict, and it is they who will come to a knowledge of the Sabbath and fight against the mark as they have with masks and vaccines. That's the point I'm trying to get at. So-called present truth Adventists are sitting back idling by while others have taken up the cause to fight against Satan's agenda. But we think we are doing something by watching the Pope. My brothers and sisters, we are 2/3 of the way completed, and we have no clue as to the nearness of the second coming. From the spring of 2020 to now, the fall of 2021, we have experienced the number and name of the beast. That's about a year and a half. We are now about to move into the last phase, which is the mark. And if we look at the speed in which the number and name went throughout the entire earth, the mark or Sunday worship can be an issue and decided upon in the span of 9 months to a year. Think about this, my brothers and sisters. And this is not time setting. This is taking a realistic look at where we are. Masks and social distancing, or the number of the beast, took place universally in March of 2020. By December of 2020, which was only 9 months, the first vaccines, or the name of the beast, was made available. By the beginning of the summer of 2021, the entire world was warned of the negative side effects and arguments against the vaccine. Whether you believe in taking the vaccine or not, or whether or not you have taken it, the entire world has been presented with the videos and arguments for and against vaccines or the name of the beast. Presidents of countries were killed over speaking against the vaccines, and truth was brought to every country in the world surrounding this issue. That happened in only a few months. From December of 2020 to August of 2021 is just 9 months. If this winter, which has been heralded as a dark winter to come, brings upon a financial collapse, coupled with the death of millions as the virus in the vaccinated become activated through 5G towers, then we can begin to see spiritual manifestations and even demonic activity by the beginning of spring 2022. And Sunday law enforcement by the end of spring 22. And this truth going out into all the world in the general close of probation by the end of summer of 2022. The whole world could be warned and have made a decision regarding Sunday worship or the mark of the beast by this same time next year, 2022. The plagues could fall and Christ's return during harvest time, fall, winter of 2022. My brothers and sisters, I am not time setting, but we have been asleep for so long that we are even at the door and don't even realize it. Many believe that there has to be more time left because the world seems bad, but not that bad to them. What we fail to realize, my brothers and sisters, is that when a world financial collapse happens, it will rapidly speed things into position for the final events to take place rapidly. It will only take days to weeks for people to get hungry and desperate and begin to burn cities to the ground. It won't take long for dead bodies to begin piling up when there are no city functions to come collect the dead. It will only take weeks to a month for a military presence to take over city functions and establish FEMA camps to provide safety during the chaos. Once demons begin to appear as otherworld saviors to humanity and suggest Sunday be kept, it will only take hours to days to spread the news across the entire world. If it took 9 months exactly in relative peace to go from lockdown to vaccines, or from the number of the beast to the name of the beast, how long could it take to get the mark of the beast during complete chaos? There is an expression that says, desperate times call for desperate measures, meaning that what might normally have taken a year to unfold during a normal society could take half the time when destruction and ruin is happening simultaneously. My brothers and sisters, I want you to consider something. People have been protesting every stage of this beast system. There were protests against the number or lockdowns all across the world. There were protests against the name or vaccines all across the world. When the mark or Sunday worship becomes the issue, it will also go out across the world. But my brothers and sisters, if we were not and are not a part of those earlier protests, if we have not learned by experience what it means and costs to stand up for the truth, if we have willingly accepted both the number and name of the beast, we will be in no condition to withstand accepting the mark of the beast when it is presented. My brothers and sisters, don't let ministers or pastors convince you that masks and vaccines are inconsequential because they are not the mark. That's like a guy convincing a girl that she can maintain her virginity by engaging in oral and anal sex only. The Bible warns us in Revelation 13:17 and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. If all you are aware of is Sunday enforcement as the mark, then you are vulnerable to accepting the name and number of the beast. Think about it. For many in the world, Sunday worship will appear insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Likewise, mask wearing and getting the vaccine has seemed very insignificant to many Seventh-day Adventists regarding final events. The mark of the beast is just a third part of the beast system. The fact that only a third part is talked about and the other two-thirds is totally disregarded should show the deceptive intent of Satan to purposefully distract Adventists on a fake narrative on how Sunday will arrive on the scene. My brothers and sisters, Satan is using a technique called control opposition to deceive Adventists. Satan knows that Adventists are well aware of his plan to have a law enforcing Sunday on pain of death. He can't deceive Adventists of its coming, but what he can do is deceive Adventists to when and how it will come about. For example, the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are all the same vaccine with different labels on them. They have been ready and waiting for years to be released to the public at just the right time. You never heard about them until it was time during the pandemic for them to be revealed. Likewise, the Sunday movement has been making its way in darkness. What we see on television and hear about on different news sources is what Satan wants us to know and think about Sunday legislation. Now, I just showed you earlier how soon we could be to the actual second coming of Christ. But Satan has many Adventists thinking that because so-called scientists say that the earth has X amount of time before it reaches a critical point, that we have at least that amount of time before the end of all things. Some Adventist ministries quote the same scientists regarding climate change and how much time the earth has left. Those same scientists also teach evolution, the Big Bang Theory, and that the earth is billions of years old. These same ministries will tell you that if you are not vegan, you can't make it into the kingdom. Yet they are getting the vaccine despite all the truth surrounding its harmful effects, just so that they can continue to make their trips overseas. My brothers and sisters, the Sunday law was introduced back in March 10th, 2021. When the enforcement of the Sunday law comes to the forefront, the world will be in another more severe form of lockdown. It will be even harder to share the Sabbath truth than it was with the truths about the vaccine. My brothers and sisters, if the pastors, ministers, and ministries spent the time they used talking about the Sunday law into searching the Bible for the real truth regarding the shape of the earth, there would be a wave of truth that will spring life into the religious experience of those Adventists who are still sleeping. The sad reality is that you have pastors who are really wolves in sheep's clothing. They sell feel-good sermons designed for present truth audiences. They talk about all the topics that so-called present truthers like to hear. They will preach dress and diet reform and give you an update every time the Pope coughs for your donations and tithes. They will not, however, cover the real issues going on in the world and in the church. They will not dive into the controversial issues within present truth and give you a thus saith the Lord. They don't want to say or do anything that may split their audience and reduce their financial income. The safety topics that they can preach on is the Sunday law and dress and diet reform. But none of those topics prepare people spiritually for what is to come.
some. Blacksmith. March.
My brothers and sisters, I have lost so many friends, family, and acquaintances these last couple of months than in all my life. Each one of them desired and probably thought that they would be translated to heaven. However, the Lord, in His great wisdom and mercy, decided to lay them to rest before this crisis begins. My brothers and sisters, though we should all strive for translation, we are not all going to be translated. Some of us will die the death of a martyr. My brothers and sisters, this is a very serious and solemn fate that we have to embrace as a reality. I can tell by the enthusiasm many speak with about what they believe to be the near approaching of a Sunday law that there is a disconnect between the work that they should be doing spiritually in preparation for the work and sacrifices that must be done during that time. If we really understood and had a true sense of our spiritual condition, we would spend more time praying to be ready than chanting, "Here comes the Sunday law," as if it's the end of the race. My brothers and sisters, we have to get to a point where we are willing to lay our lives down for the cause of Christ. If we are fearful now regarding getting sick, or coming into close contact with those who are known to be infected with the virus, then we will not get to the end and all of a sudden be willing to die for Christ when we spent so much time beforehand neglecting His cause to preserve our own health and life. Search your hearts, my brothers and sisters. If we can't share space in our country homes and lands with fellow believers now, we will not open them up to share with strangers during the crisis, and we will not be willing to share a jail cell or prison camp with them during persecution and martyrdom. My brothers and sisters, many who right now express joy and excitement about a Sunday law will get to the time of persecution and martyrdom and realize that they were not ready for the very time they eagerly looked for. My brothers and sisters, we all like the idea of heaven, but there is a great journey and experience ahead of us right before we are actually ready to enter. Take these few weeks we have left to prepare and seek the Lord like you have never sought Him before. Take a break from YouTube and evaluate your heart in your house. Sunday law updates and daily reports will not give you the experience needed to go through the crisis. Trust in God to prepare you for what is to come. You have to hear His voice letting you know when it's time to move and make decisions. Don't trust the leadings of other men to tell you what only God knows. When the time comes, my brothers and sisters, will you be willing to stand and give your life for Christ, if it is required of you? If you are not willing to die, and the thought and sight of death troubles you, then you are not ready for a Sunday law.
sinners. Save my child.
My brothers and sisters, this is what we are about to face. And if this troubles you, if this is too dark or too hard for you to watch, then you need to pray and rewatch it until you can accept it as a possible fate you may have to meet. There is no room for the fearful where we are headed now. God gives us the martyr spirit when we face martyrdom, not leading up to it. Look back at the story of Huss and Jerome. There are those among us who are going to give up at the threat of death because they never weighed the cost of standing for truth. They were busy listening to Sunday law updates and never gained the experience of refusing the masks and vaccines and sharing the gospel during those trying times. They were not kicked out of businesses or censored for sharing the truth regarding masks and vaccines, so they will be too afraid when heavy penalties come for speaking against Sunday. They will reason that as long as they keep the Sabbath in their hearts and homes, that it doesn't matter if they concede to keep Sunday in public. They will think that they can do both, and will look upon those Adventists who refuse to have any part of Sunday as extremists. They will shrink away from any persecution or hardship associated with Sabbath keeping. They will use statements from Sister White where she says that it's okay to do good things on Sunday and how it is unwise to draw unnecessary attention to oneself during the Sunday enforcement crisis. Those statements they will use to blend in with the masses keeping Sunday and feel no shame at all when they watch real Sabbath keepers being put to death for their faith. They will say that no one is asking them to stop keeping the Sabbath, but to add Sunday as a day of rest for the sake of the nation. The same logic behind the justification of masks and vaccines will be applied to Sunday worship. Compromising is like a cancer. It eats away at a person's spiritual strength beneath the surface. All the while they think that they are perfectly fine to meet any opposition. My brothers and sisters, after you watch this video, pray and ask the Lord to show you what exactly He would have you do to help further the gospel. Ask Him what field of work in this great controversy should you be employed in. Ask Him to reveal to you the hidden truths and realities in this world that can make you wise and aware to the deceptions of Satan that have ensnared many. My brothers and sisters, time is fastly winding down. We have just a brief moment right now before the armies of Rome return to place the world under siege. Don't be found wanting. Don't have anticipated and longed for a Sunday law just to come up to the trial and realize that you were never willing to die for it. Remember, my brothers and sisters, after a person makes the decision to be a martyr for Christ, then the Holy Spirit comes upon them and gives them the spirit of the martyr. It doesn't come beforehand to convict and convince someone to be a martyr. If you are afraid to suffer persecution now, you will be too afraid to suffer it then. Don't underestimate the power of the human survival instinct and will to live. It has led many a mother to eat her baby to satisfy her hunger. It has caused many professed followers of Christ to abandon their faiths for fear of being burned to death, tortured, or beheaded. God has used masks and vaccines as a conditioning method to prepare us to be at odds with the world. If we scorn that method of preparation, then we will forfeit the only medium that was designed to prepare us to stand during persecution.